Well, a very good day to everybody, and thanks so much for joining us. One of my favorite events of the year. Just wanted to say hello to everybody, and we're going to go ahead and get started. As I mentioned in the chat, we have like 200 people who have signed up for today's event, and I'm sure they'll be rolling in very shortly as we talk here today. With that said, we do have our next meetup already posted, and we'll talk a little bit about that as the event goes on today. But if you have a chance, head on over to usergroups.zendesk.com and check out our next meetup that's available for sign up starting today. Let's get into today's up, and I'm very excited to welcome back for his third appearance here. Please welcome everyone, Jonathan Aniano. How you doing today, John?
Hello, Michael. Thank you, and thank you, folks, for having me. I'm doing great. It's 9 a.m. here in sunny San Mateo, a little bit overcast, but I'm sure it'll warm up throughout the day. I'm doing great. Happy to be on board with you folks.
Well, thanks so much for joining. This is one of my, like I said earlier, my favorite sessions that I get to run, and we have a great turnout, of course, because we have a star with us here today.
I don't know about all that. I'll talk to my agent, but this is also one of my favorite parts of the year. I mean, I truly mean it, and I think I say this every time, but we should find a way to also engage more. I don't want to take up all of the airtime and all the air in the room during your user group meetings, but also, I mean, this is super valuable for me and for the PM team. As we plan our roadmap and as we think about the admin persona. So really appreciate the time.
Appreciate you being here. So just a little housekeeping for everybody here that's joined us. If you have a question for John, we're going to get to them at one point in our presentation today, but please drop them in the Q&A so that I can take a look at them, and we will definitely get those read out when we have the opportunity. So John, we have lots of signups today, and some people will be watching on our replay. For those who may not have seen your previous two appearances, would you mind reminding us who you are and what you do over at Zendesk?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. John Aniano here. I run product management for most of the product team here at Zendesk. I have been at Zendesk for over 5 years now, which is truly amazing. We've all been through a lot together. It was an interesting 5 years in world history and also in customer service history. And before that, I pretty much only worked on customer service products on the vendor side, and so this is my world. I will retire having mostly only built customer service products at some point in the maybe near or far future. We'll see. And these are my people. These are the stories I tell at cocktail parties. I talk about customer service products. So sometimes I can be a boring guest. Product and I assume everyone knows what product management is, but essentially we're responsible for, at the most boring level, like resource allocation for product and engineering teams. But on a more exciting level, we decide collectively with our stakeholders, what the roadmap is and where the future of the product is going and how we best take our resources and apply them to the customer's most pressing needs. Which, sometimes you all agree with those decisions and sometimes you take issue with those decisions, and we have to balance innovation and core investment and things like that. So that's the general role, and that's what my team within Zendesk does.
Cool. Great. Thank you for that. I think that's really helpful to set the bar here so everybody understands who we're talking to. So we're going right to the top, and we like I said, we brought the very best. Pretend with me for a moment that I'm Tom Egelmeyer, and we just finished Relate. And it's Monday morning, and I'm leaving my house. I'm heading down the 101, and I'm in my cool car. I'm jamming on the way to the office, and I walk into the office, and I'm high-fiving everyone because I imagine that's what he does as he walks down the aisles.
Definitely, you got it.
And I'm having my first meeting with my executive team post-Relate. What's the buzz in the office? What are you guys talking about? What is the most exciting thing that I'm asking you to do now that we've just met with all of our great customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll replay the debrief. I'll tell you what, coming out of Relate, we were excited about and energized about is just the overwhelming positive response we got about the way we talk about the future of Zendesk. And by that, I mean, if you haven't seen any of the Relate stuff, we've really centered around this concept of the resolution platform. And we truly, everyone at Zendesk believes in the future of the resolution platform. And without giving you the 30-minute version, it's, essentially how we think about the components for driving customer service and employee service resolutions, across the world. And those are things like AI agents, the knowledge graph, actions and integrations that those AI agents and the knowledge graph have access to, governance and control over how you drive resolutions, and measurements and insights with reporting and analytics and QA and things like that. And so, again, there's a really great pitch. You can rewatch probably a lot of the Relate discussions, but we have centered around this concept. And the reason we've centered around the concept is because we believe with, AI in the center of everything we do now, we can bring the value closer to the way we develop products and the way we price and package our products and the way we incentivize our employees to help customers. And what do I mean by that? It sounds like a bunch of marketing words, but what you want when you deploy Zendesk is you want resolutions. You want AI-powered resolutions. You want human resolutions where necessary. And last year we came out with something called outcome-based pricing, where we charge by the resolution. And our internal mindset is all dedicated towards how do we drive better resolutions, higher quality, more automation, better CSAT, better outcomes by focusing on the resolution. So I said that all to say the resolution platform really landed with the industry, with analysts, and with customers. I personally did 35 customer meetings while I was at Relate. If I met you out there, hello again. And in every single one, they said this, really liked the messaging. Of course, they had detailed questions and things they wanted to know. And certainly they hit me with their roadmap gripes, but everyone responded positively to that. And I think it's become a really great way, not only to talk about it, because there is a marketing element to it, but for us as a team, the product management team, the engineering teams, to go on and say, okay, what is our job? What is our reason to exist? And that was the first part of your question, and it took me 3 minutes to answer. So I'll answer the second part more quickly, which is like, what are we proud about, and what are we, going to do, and what are we high-fiving about other than the resolution platform landing? And it's just, I think the next generation of AI agents, which we launched at Relate, the next generation of action builder of workflows that we launched at Relate, and the beginnings of the knowledge graph. I think these are things where within the meetings we had with our customers at Relate, the demand for, okay, how do we get access to advanced AI agents with adaptive reasoning? How do we get those procedures? How do we get those natural language procedures to drive automation? How do we use Action Builder in a low code, no code way to connect? And what that translates to for the broader company is, how do our AEs, how do our CSMs, how do our product management people, how do our SEs go and really bring this to life with customers? And how do we enact that adoption journey? Okay, so I'm trying not to take too long with these simple questions you're asking me, but these are the things we're talking about inside of Zendesk. And I think customer adoption, inside of Zendesk, sometimes we call it customer obsession, is what Tom is talking about with me and with everyone on the leadership team at Zendesk.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you giving us a look inside the meetings that you've had post-Relate. Very, very interesting way, to talk about it in terms of a resolution platform.
Yep.
So a lot has happened in the last 12 months. Lots of great stuff has come out or been released by presumably mostly your team. I think about like dark mode seeing the light of day, and that's a pun intended there. Omnichannel routing has certainly had feature after feature added to it. The recent EAP of App Builder, something I'm particularly excited about, really cool technology there. Brand restrictions, some of the things that have come to light for me. Is there one or two of those that you're, not just the list that I made, but some that you're particularly fond of, or really think you guys knocked it out of the park, that you're really happy to see finally out there in customers' hands and great adoption?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll mention some of the ones you mentioned and some of the other ones. I'll try to go as much of a lightning round as I can for you. But what I'll mention about dark mode is you asked for it. Okay, this is like number one request from the admins and the community and longtime customers. Just give me the dark mode. Every other app has dark mode. Why doesn't Zendesk have dark mode? My agent's eyes are are going because there's too much white on the screen, and so. The reaction from customers has been huge. I mean, we don't keep an official scoreboard of fastest adopted features at Zendesk, but if we did, I think dark mode would be at the top within a week of the announcement. And by the way, I think it's EAP, right? It's not even GA yet. We'll get there very, very soon. But even in the EAP, oh, by the way, one note maybe for admins that's pretty cool is we invented a new EAP opt-in process for dark mode that we will take forward to any open EAP. So, in the past, you have to fill out a Google form, you wait for a product manager to get back from vacation and approve it or whatever the case may be. For dark mode, there's just a checkbox in admin to enable it. And you go through the EAP terms, so you're starting an EAP feature. But there's no Google form and there's no waiting for product or engineering to get back to you. So that was huge. And I think because of that, within the first week, we had over 15,000 agents actually. So admins turned it on, and then agents went and said, I want to operate in dark mode. And that number is growing super, super fast. So I think it'll be one of the fastest adopted features at Zendesk. Definitely a crowd pleaser. And I'm proud of the team, because you have to imagine, if you can build something that's AI powered, or you can build something that drives automated resolutions higher, or you could build something that unlocks an enterprise customer. There are a lot of reasons why those things might take priority over something like dark mode, which is quality of life. But we held the line, got it done, and customers are loving it. So I hope you all love it too. Of course, I'll take your feedback on it, but dark mode is huge at this altitude. I said lightning round, and then I spent 2 minutes on that. So I'll go fast on the other ones. App Builder, if you haven't tried App Builder, we'll find a way to get it in your hands. But it's truly a game changer for technical-minded admins. If you want to build a Zaf app, you use App Builder to converse in a conversational way with the App Builder. And at the end of it, 10, 15 minutes, in some cases 1 or 2 minutes, you have an actual fully functional app published and deployed in your instance. I built, when this was first released internally, I built 3 apps that I've been sort of waiting for within my demo instance that I could have built personally if I took the time to dust off my coding fingers. But was able to do it super, super quickly with App Builder. So I would, to the extent we can get it in your hands, try it out. Of course, when it goes GA, I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of folks in the admin world. I already mentioned the next generation of AI agents with adaptive reasoning, but and I'm sure you're sick of us talking about AI powered features, but this is really going to change automation. The fact that you can set up natural language procedures, the fact that at Zendesk, you get a representation of the chain of thought and the logic that the AI agent's going to go through, and you can adapt either the procedure or the chain of logic. This is truly innovative stuff. It's different than what's out there from other vendors and other CS-focused and ES-focused people. If you're an employee service admin, the fact that we finally now have an employee service targeted product, internal help desk or ITSM or legal shared services or whatever the case may be, you can use our employee service product, which is made up of the core product plus more and more employee service specific features. We've sort of lovingly embraced the employee service community in all but the product at Zendesk, and now we have sort of product teams focused on building things like tasks and approvals and service catalog and a lot of these employee service focused features. So I've left out so many. I mean, the fact that omnichannel routing has gone from, basic to mature and like very mature in 2.5 years has been great. We announced, for people where voice is a critical channel, we announced the intent to acquire local measure. These are all big, big things that, may not have even been on the radar last time we spoke. So I'm really, really proud of all of these things.
Cool. And, I think talking about all the happy stuff is certainly important, but is there anything that you think that perhaps needs a little bit more fine tuning or didn't get just right that first time around that customers are just not excited about as you would have hoped they've been?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll talk about, I think, some areas of the product that I wish we could have done more in the last 12 months, right? So there was about a year and a half where we were really reinvigorated on SLAs. We rebuilt SLAs from the ground up. We unlocked a ton of features in SLAs that that people have been asking for many years, that had a lot of requests in the community. But there's a couple of things on the last mile that we still haven't gotten to yet. So like sub-minute SLA timers with notification system for a better notification system for SLA breach. We want to do it. We've got plans to do it. It's on the roadmap, but we haven't been able to dedicate the resources to it just yet. I would say the same thing on another OG feature, CSAT, right? We rebuilt some CSAT. We unlocked some innovation there. There's more we want to do, and while we made some progress in the last 12 months, I'd like to make more progress on that. And then I think elephant in the room, and maybe we'll talk about it as we get to Q&A, is we're still, and I talked about this last time for those who were here, but we would really like, and I'll say this as softly as possible, we would really like to increase the velocity with which we get new reports into Explore, right? And so new data into Explore, it's still a pipeline that is constrained for us. We've done a lot internally towards our new data platform. And so if you're rolling in Zendesk circles, you might hear about something we call ZDP, which is our internal Zendesk data platform. We've been working on that, and that will power reporting and analytics innovation going forward. But until, I think you'll see the fruit of some of that this year. But that, this is a long road, and I wish we could move faster.
Ooh, that's last tidbit there was very interesting. We'll get to reporting a little bit later, but that's the first new acronym so far we got today. So good little tidbit there.
Yeah, it's secret Zendesk stuff. I'll pull you behind the curtain a little bit on that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So let's change gears a little bit. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's talk a little bit about AI. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think everybody on this call has used AI, whether they wanted to or not. Marketing teams, Zendesk, non-Zendesk, are really creative with their AI. We've gone from generative. Now we had AI agents. Now we're getting into, I have to write it down because I can never say it properly. I believe is the right way to say it.
Yeah.
I think it's overwhelming for us. It's overwhelming for me, and I imagine everyone else on this call has no idea what some of these words even mean sometimes, and probably has Googled them like I have had to do.
Yeah.
Zendesk has gone back and forth with some of these words and has introduced some new words that relate. Many of us just got used to the previous terminology, but can you break it down for us a little bit? And how does Zendesk think about these terms, and what do they mean for the product? And are they real?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tall order, and that I'm fairly verbose, so I'll try to adjust my prompt for brevity. But look, I'll do the 90-second history lesson, which is, for many years, depending on how long you've been interacting with computer technology, we've been talking about AI and ML to a certain extent. And I think, if you take a look at some of the early things that Zendesk did with AI and ML, you'd call them traditional ML. And so things like the original answer bot, or even some of the earliest of the new batch of Zendesk features, and actually many of you probably remember CSAT prediction. That was also not a great feature, but it was alive for a very long time. But that was using traditional ML. But even some of the newer features, used what we would call traditional ML, like the first versions of intelligent triage or sentiment or language detection. These were not using large language models. There was no generative AI component. And so traditional ML powered a lot of the old stuff that Zendesk launched. In the last 2.5 years, since the launch of GPT 2.5 or 3, before ChatGPT launched, the world, including Zendesk, was experimenting with this new thing we call generative AI. And the way I think about it, if it makes it easier for you, is that the use of a large language model in the way that you interact with ChatGPT is generative AI. It's actually, it's not meant to predict a very specific thing. It's not meant to output a very specific thing. It's meant to generate the response. That's not quite what generative means. That's I'm using the word wrong. Generative being the a more technical term when we're talking about GPT. But think about it as for the customer service and employee service use case. Think about generative as AI that can actually completely generate a conversational response. And of course, everything we do today, and most of the things we've done in the last 2 years, have some component that is generative. You'll probably see that term go out of use over time because it becomes embedded into assumed, right? So like when we do generative search replies, which instead of sending a knowledge base article sends a conversational version of the knowledge article or a conversational snippet from the knowledge article, that's generative. And when we do that with in the agent search, when we do that with even the simple suggested replies in Copilot, that's or when we do the agent writing tools, that's all generative AI. We're sending relatively simple prompts to an LLM. Relatively simple, I say, because they're pretty complex to make sure that they don't hallucinate, or make sure, there might be a RAG implementation to make sure they're getting knowledge right behind the scenes, but that's all generative. Generative is not going away. The use of the term generative may slip away because it is assumed. What we're hearing now, what you might have heard it relate, and what we're talking about a lot internally at Zendesk is agentic. And so I think everyone should learn the word agentic. Regionally, you may pronounce it differently, agentic, agentic, it doesn't matter. But that word, it really refers to a pattern. And that pattern is sort of a network of agents working together, right? And so, one of the things, again, another play on words that we use internally is think about it as tools that have their own agency. That's not where the agentic comes from in agentic, but essentially, we've got so I'll use the example, and it's both true for both Copilot and for the latest version of advanced AI agents. These systems have multiple agents working together. So in the case of the latest version of AI agents, there is a reasoning agent, and that reasoning agent sits on top of a network of other agents that do specific tasks. So the reasoning agent says, my job is to follow this procedure and go into different spots in this procedure based on the context of the customer and the conversation. And it's orchestrating a network of agents who might have different jobs. One might be go check on an order number or execute a third-party task. Another one might be to find a piece of knowledge in the knowledge base or in a RAG search. And so when we talk about agentic, we're talking about a system that is doing coordination amongst itself, with deploying these sort of agent models. Now, all of them are still using LLMs underneath. So when you think about generative, generative is part of agentic. But just to sum it all up, we went from traditional AI and ML to using generative AI to now orchestrating agentic patterns with generative AI. And I think you'll see more and more of our features operating this way. So new version of AI agents, new version of Copilot, they are fully agentic systems. They have reasoning, they have subtasks, they have a network of agents operating together. We may see over time, our AI agents interacting with third-party AI agents in an agentic way. So sort of extending that network of agents. But that's where the word agentic comes from. We're going to be talking about it. Every vendor in the world is talking about it. And we should embrace it in our lexicon. I think, brass tacks or whatever metaphor you want to use there, the new versions of Copilot and advanced AI agents are all generative.
John, can you help us understand the line between what is sort of AI of the core product and what is AI that's part of the add-ons?
Yeah, sure. So we have two. Okay, so I will separate a couple of things. One, there are add-on SKUs for WFM and QA. So if you need WFM capability or QA capability, there are AI-powered features in those capabilities. Those, of course, are unlocked with those add-ons. They're very specific functionality. When we talk about our core AI offerings at Zendesk, you can think about AI agents, so all the self-service offerings, and you can think about the agent assistance offerings. In the self-service offerings, there are two tiers which are included with your Zendesk Suite subscription. There's nuances at the lower tiers, but in a general Zendesk Suite Pro or Enterprise, you've got generative search. So your help center now can, instead of returning a knowledge article, can return a generative search reply, so a summary, and that is included with Zendesk Suite Pro and Enterprise. So you get that generative search in the help center. Then you get AI Agent Essentials, and AI Agent Essentials is whether it's in messaging or I don't know if it's available yet fully. So I've got my EAPs and my betas and my GAs flipped around, but basic generative replies on messaging channels and on email would be in AI Agent Essentials. And so those are included with Suite Pro and Enterprise up to a certain limit. So you get a number of resolutions included in Suite Pro and Enterprise. And then if you need to go above that, you need to buy resolutions, because those are all resolution-based pricing, some of which is included in AI Agent in Suite Pro and Enterprise. And then we have AI Agents Advanced, which is an additional add-on which unlocks the generative procedures, the agentic procedures. I'm getting my generatives and my agentics mixed up. And there's a platform fee, and then it's just resolution-based pricing on top of that. So within self-service stuff, it's generative search included, AI Essentials included up to a outcome point, and then there's an upgrade tier to AI Agents Advanced. When you go to agent-assisted stuff, we have the SKU is Advanced AI. We may end up renaming that to Copilot. It doesn't matter, but think about that as all of the agent tools that, whether it's suggested writing or suggested reply or intelligent triage or, what I think is the jewel of this group, which is Auto Assist, which is Copilot Auto Assist. That's an add-on, and it's a per user per month add-on, and that's the pricing for that. We still have a couple of things in EAP. So Action Builder and App Builder are both in EAP. Pricing and packaging on those is TBD, but we can presume that some of each will be included in Suite, because they're really critical to the Suite. Action Builder is a new workflow engine essentially, and App Builder just makes it easier to build ZAF apps, which are of course included in Suite Pro and Enterprise. So long answer to a short question, but that's the way we think about the various pieces of AI functionality and where they're included and where they're not.
Fantastic. And obviously, huge offering. I think a lot of people, certainly like myself, have questions about which each of those features are, and I appreciate you breaking them down for us. Two that I want to hit on there that you mentioned that are my personal favorite, App Builder and the recently announced Action Builder. I've been looking for something like Action since my day one as a customer. We'll take a little break just here if you want to grab a drink of water, John. Next month, we'll be featuring Action Builder as part of our user group meetup. We'll be joined by Amanda from the product management group, marketing group, I guess, who will be here to discuss the feature and let us know all about it. I've already signed up for the EAP, so I am anxiously awaiting enablement there to try it out. I have so many ideas for use cases, and for those of you who haven't heard about it or didn't see the related announcements, go out there, read about it. If you don't have a use case for it today, we will have one for it tomorrow. So also excited to hear that pricing on that still to be determined, because like you, I think it's going to unlock so many different things that people have been struggling to be able to do natively in the app. So really excited for it, and really excited to talk next month. So please go out there and sign up for our next meetup to learn all about Action Builder. So we'll keep moving on here a little bit, John. And one of the things that we did in our last meetup with the group is we had some predictions about what would come out at Relate. And some of them were right, some of them were totally off, and some of them were on future things that maybe will take a little bit longer. But one of my predictions was Zendesk would get a little wider in terms of their offering. And I think we're seeing that now with the introduction of employee service and the acquisition of things like local measures and last year's Klaus and Timeshift. You really are becoming sort of that all-in-one call center package. Can you talk a little bit as a product leader? How do you keep the team focused still on those core essentials and releasing features that are important to people like us as admins? And I think you hit on it in some of your earlier discussions when you talked about getting back to CSAT, getting back to SLAs. Those little things that seem really trivial to the greater message of Zendesk, but still important to the core.
Yeah, great question. And I think I'll just set expectations here. I will give a mildly unsatisfying answer to those of you on the call listening, but it'll be the truth and it'll be as clear, as transparent as I can be, which is everything we do, everything we invest in or do not invest in is a trade-off, is considered, is toiled over and questioned and re-questioned. And so the decisions are very, very hard. Where do we place our chips? Where do we take our limited capacity and invest it in the way that brings, outsized outcomes for our customers and therefore outsized outcomes for our stakeholders, knowing that there will be some disappointments and some trade-offs. And so I want to speak a little more specifically about that. But I think, an exercise I did at a different company I worked for with similar to this admin user group, and maybe we can do this one day or think about it, is, if I gave you $100, 100, illustrative dollars, not real dollars. Although I'd be happy to give each of you $100. That would be fun. And said, you can allocate this across all of the different things that we need to do as a company, right? We need to invest in AI and we need to invest in, AI, I'll be more specific, automating customer service interactions, automating employee service interactions, assisting human agents with AI, investing in core workflow features, investing in our infrastructure scalability and reliability, expanding our market into the contact center world, all the things that we have to balance and let you put some dollars on the table. It becomes really difficult to not what we call peanut butter, right? Which is to say, okay, if there's 20 categories and I've got $100 and put $5 on each, and then everybody gets something, and then what actually happens is everybody gets mostly nothing, right? And so this is the balance that we do, and I think it's an interesting exercise to do as a group. Now, how do we think about it and how do we balance? Here's what I will say. People in Zendesk leadership, and I think in customer service product and employee service product leadership, industry-wide, understand that there will be more automation in the future, right? Everybody wants to deliver better customer outcomes to their end customers or their employees. And everybody wants to do it at a better cost profile, both on software and human labor. And the companies that do that best are going to win, and they're going to be allowed to continue to exist, and they're going to be allowed to continue to build products and allowed to continue to help customers and employees. And so we put a lot of effort on AI agents and Copilot and the future of automated customer experiences and the future of automated, assisted agent experiences. And I think that's the right call right now. Part of the signal we get that it's the right call is that these things are very widely adopted and quickly adopted, and the outcomes that our customers get from deploying AI agents and the outcomes that our customers get from deploying Copilot are outsized. So we know we're on the right track. So much so that we, shifted our pricing model to outcome-based pricing in a lot of cases. We're really betting the future on that. But I think among the rest of the things that we do, we are not a company that's chasing. There's something in the industry called, obviously TAM, which is total addressable market. And, a lot of times if you bring in consultants or something, they'll say, okay, we've got to increase our TAM. You've got this much total addressable market in customer service. You've got this much total addressable market in ES. There's these 10 other markets. And you can kind of see companies that have grown that way. I used to work at one of them where you go from saying, we really care about customer service, or we really care about employee service, but also we're doing marketing and finance and reporting and logistics and all of these other things. That's bad for customers, I think, and that's bad for the outcomes that customers can drive with their product. So we are focused on the things that matter to customer service and employee service. Now, with local measure, and you're getting wider to your point, Michael, we truly believe that the world of CCaaS and the world of customer engagement center, or however you want to slice our market today, these things are colliding. And frankly, our customers are telling us, look, if you could do what I'm doing with this particular telephony provider over here, I would rather do it with Zendesk. It would make my life so much easier if I could do these telephony things with Zendesk. And so we react to that and we say, okay, there is enough demand, there's enough interest, there's enough overlap with what we do at our core, that we want to be invested there. And so then you get an acquisition like Local Measure. This is exactly the same logic that got us to Klaus and that got us to TimeShift and that got us to Ultimate, right? And so you will see us continue to widen the product, but only to the extent that it serves our core markets, which are customer service and employee service. That was a long meandering answer, but everything's a trade-off. And we really look to the customer base, to folks like you, to point us in the right direction for widening. Oh, by the way, I wish we could do, did I make any relate predictions last year, or was this a separate exercise? I'd love to know if we missed the mark or hit the mark. Oh, Michael, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. No, that was our meetup last month. We did our own predictions amongst some of the other user group leaders and with the audience here. So
I don't mean to turn around this dialogue, but is there something that was like predicted that was a great disappointment that didn't show up or something? That's the kind of thing I'd love to know about.
Ooh, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Perfect. I'll call you on it.
Definitely. But I think you guys hit a lot of things that we were predicting. I think a lot of the sentiment was it was going to be AI based, and it was going to be probably the next generation of AI, and really building on and leveraging some of the investments that you guys made with the acquisition of Ultimate, Klaus, and TimeShift. So I think we saw a lot of that, and there were really some surprises out there. So that was good as well.
Awesome.
So one of the things we first did when you joined us 3 years ago now, hard to believe, is we played a game of Mythbusters, and I'd love to go ahead and do that again with you here today, because we have I have a couple things for you that I think this group would love to hear. And the first one, and you hit on this a little bit earlier, is product managers don't build community requested features. The more votes a feature has, the less likely it will be considered for build. Is that a myth, or
that is
that for us?
That is definitely a myth, but I know where the myth comes from, right? Which is, hey, if you look at the longest standing feature requests on the community, they have the most votes and they are unaddressed, right? And so like you can kind of look at the logic and you could say, wait a minute, of these community requests that survive, they're not being invested in. But I think what actually happens is it becomes very hard for us to invest in the things that you all love and use so much, which are the earliest things that Zendesk ever built, right? And so when we think about innovations around SLAs or CSAT or triggers and automation specifically, I know, like this is some of the first code that was ever written at Zendesk. And so unclogging that and revitalizing that is kind of like, building a basement by lifting up your house first, digging a hole, and then putting your house back on top of that. You've really got to clear out some foundational elements, which is why some of those things are the most used areas of the product, are the most requested for innovation, and are the slowest to innovate. So there is a logic to that. It's not because we don't want to. It's not because we don't value community requests. We do. In fact, what I'll say is that we have our internal, and I might have mentioned this last time, but we have our internal metrics that we use where we combine not only all the community input, but also field input. So when sales and our customer-facing teams are out, they also provide a level of input into our internal tools. We segment that by product area. We segment that by impact to our business in terms of the ARR of customers requesting these features. We do a lot of analytics on this, and we do hold PMs accountable to their top requests. So if you own an area that has an item of high request in the community and the field, you better be able to explain why you are or aren't investing in it. And a lot of these things we are investing, it's just a longer time horizon. I would say, and I hinted at this a little bit earlier in the talk track here, but there is a bit of survivorship bias. Of course, we constantly retire community post requests, and the ones that we can't are the ones that last the longest and have the most votes over time. And so you're kind of looking at it and saying, nobody listens to the community. Well, in fact, a lot of the remaining things in the community are just the hardest things. And so those are the ones that survive, and that makes us look bad. But I promise we care. So that, hopefully that myth is busted.
That myth is certainly busted, but we'll continue to press on those.
Please do.
Features for you.
Please do.
So the next one, I think you also hit on a little bit earlier too, and maybe gave us some light at the end of the tunnel. But many people would say that reporting in Explore, especially the new dashboard builder, is a little bit challenging. Reporting in Explore will get easier. Is that a myth?
Ooh, I'm trying to figure out what's the double or triple negative here. I'll tell you this: we want to make reporting easier, okay? And I think new dashboard builder, in some ways, is a lot easier and better than what you used to have to do. But it also makes it more difficult to do some of the things. If you got used to the old way of building reports in Explore and dashboards in Explore, this has a different set of limitations, and we don't love that. We don't love doing that, but one of the reasons why it may feel like innovation in Explore is not fast, and I think in the reality is in many ways it is not, is because it's an aging system. It's a singular large aging system. So the UI and what we call the ETL layer of Explore and the core data storage layer of Explore all need to be updated to make better reporting for our customers. And so that is a very long investment horizon. In the last 18 months, we worked really explicitly on that core storage layer. And so this is where, again, peek behind the curtain. I won't give any technical details of it or vendor details or anything like that, but we now have a shared data layer across product data and usage data and all of the things that you might want to put into Explorer, into analytics, and we call that ZDP, the Zendesk Data Platform. I don't think that will ever be customer-facing terminology. Just know we've got a thing internally called ZDP, and we will build our new reporting stack and our new reporting capabilities on top of that. Some of that will be retrofitting existing Explore capabilities. Some of that will leapfrog existing Explore capabilities. So I'll give you an example. If you look at automated resolutions reporting inside of Core Zendesk for AI Agents Essentials or automated resolutions, not the ultimate stuff, but or former ultimate stuff, I should say, but the core reporting, that is actually using a completely new stack, and it's powered off of that ZDP platform. And so our ability as a product and engineering team to surface analytics to you as admins is already changing. And we do over time need to replace some of the layers of Explore as well to give you that core reporting and dashboard building experience. So please know that we know the feedback. I'll keep the feedback coming, by the way. I'm not saying stop, but we are hearing the feedback. We know the feedback. We are working as quickly as we can. It's just a very big problem, and it will get better. Well,
good. They're glad to hear some light at the end of the tunnel, because I think all of us on this call have struggled in some cases, some place with Explore.
Yeah.
So my last myth before we can take a few questions here is all customers will be forced to move from chat to messaging.
Yeah. Well, I will bust that myth with caveats. So we have no intention, in the short term, of forcing all customers to move from chat to messaging. And the reason why we have no intention of that is because we know there are still parity features, right? There are customers who use traditional chat, and they use it in the way that chat has been since the beginning of chat time. In fact, I'm sympathetic to those people because one of the earliest products I built in the customer support space was a chat product. I lived and breathed chat. I'm a chat guy. I identify as chat. And so I know that if there are things you want to do in chat that you can't do in messaging, that's frustrating. So our goal is make sure anything you could do in chat, you can also do in messaging, and make that on-ramp easy. And then we may one day say, guess what? You have to be using messaging. I will say internally, we invest in messaging. We are no longer investing in chat, and that's been true for years. We want, all of the new innovation is in messaging. All of the AI-powered features are in messaging. We reluctantly support some of the omni-channel routing stuff in chat, even though we wanted to do it all in messaging. But the future is messaging. We're not going to force you to move, though, until we feel comfortable that, enough parity has been reached so you can handle all of the core operational things you were doing in chat on top of messaging. And that represents a shift from when messaging started maybe 4 or 5 years ago with the acquisition of, I don't even remember what the company was called, Smooch. And so that had a different flavor. It was just like, messaging is a different way of doing it, and we're going to build it that way, and you're going to love it. We've definitely changed course and gone back to what I've always wanted to do, which is to say, messaging is a platform at Zendesk. If you want to operate in the traditional chat way, you should be able to do that on top of messaging, and we will get you there. So myth busted, but with caveats.
Well, very good. And that is my recollection of how I started as a Zendesk customer. Like, here's messaging, you're going to love it as is. I've been very impressed with the innovations in that area along the way, and hoping to be able to move back to it later this year, hopefully before our busy holiday season. So awesome. Thanks for the look behind that. So I'm going to turn to a couple questions that have come in during chat, and we'll fire through these as quickly as possible.
I'll go fast.
Yeah. So one of the questions is, for those of us who are familiar with tools like Zapier, how does Action Builder sort of compare, or what does the future look like as Action Builder comes to life?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely think about a lot of the use cases you do in Zapier being able to be done natively in Action Builder. It is low code, no code. You can it includes both integrations and logic. And so a lot of those things you might have had to turn to Zapier for, you can probably do in Action Builder. I would say for a while, for probably multiple years, Zapier will always have the breadth of integrations. That's their value, right? Their value is thousands of companies build integrations on our platform, or Zapier sometimes builds those integrations. And so that selection of pre-built integrations will probably always be much better in the commercial products. But we will start to build that catalog of pre-built integrations as well. And so I'm hoping you can retire, 80-20 of things you're using Zapier or Workato or Tray. That would be the goal for Action Builder in the short term.
Cool. Another question out there comes about dark mode. Coming for Admin Center anytime soon?
Oh, I should have anticipated this question from the Admin User Group. We started with Agent because for obvious reasons, which is it's definitely by volume the most used interface. If you've got somebody who lives in front of Agent for 8 hours a day as their job, you really want them to have the ability to toggle. We will enforce dark mode compliance across other areas of the product, but I don't have a ETA on that. I'll go back and bother the dark mode team and see if we're putting some guidelines on Admin Center.
Cool.
I guess one more note on that. Admin Center generally is almost all on a newer modern framework that supports our internal design standard, which is Garden. And so it might actually be relatively easy to do Admin Center, but I'll check with the team and feedback noted.
Great. Thanks, John. Another question about automated resolutions. Can you speak to how you guys say they're successful?
Yeah, I'm not sure the intention behind the question, but how we judge whether a resolution is successful maybe is the question, right? And so a couple of reasons. So there's two parts of it. There's heuristics. By the way, there's a great support article on this that goes into more detail than I can go in here in the time, but there's heuristics, which are, this is a ticket that came in that a human agent didn't touch, that reached, closed state within a certain period of time and has not been reopened, right? So there's basic logical heuristic measures, but every single resolution is then run through an LLM evaluation. So we have a system that actually evaluates everything that heuristically qualifies as a resolution, and makes a judgment as to whether this was actually a question or problem that the customer had, and whether it can be considered resolved, even if you didn't actually Sorry, there's a very loud noise outside my window. Even if it didn't actually solve the customer's problem, the LLM will evaluate that it was resolved in a customer service sense.
Great. Thanks for the quick summary there. I know there's many questions coming in right now in the chat, and if we don't get to your question or comment, we will make sure John gets it and we'll get a response to you.
Absolutely.
Couple broader questions than what was asked. Will you be on the road shows?
I will. Actually, I haven't. I don't know which specific ones I will be at, but I think that I will hit at least one in Europe. It might be Paris, and then one in Asia. But we all do roadshow duty. It's one of my favorite things to come out and visit with customers. I will be, and then if I get confirmed for any of these roadshows, maybe I'll send a note, Michael, and we could share it with the admin user group.
Great, that would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Any plans to update the automations UI in Admin Center?
Plans, hopes, dreams, aspirations. Yes, all of those things. We will get to it. We will get to it. I don't know if it will get done this year. I don't want to make any promises. But it is constantly discussed. I do think it's on the roadmap for this year, but I can't make any promises given how, again, this is one of those things where this is one of the oldest UIs that remains at Zendesk.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're getting to the end of our hour here, but before we let you go, you've given us a lot of great information and shared a lot. I won't tell Tom anything that we discussed today, don't worry. But if you could leave us with a little teaser about, what else we may be able to expect this year, maybe something that hasn't been fully announced yet, or maybe the product team members would be upset if you spilled the tea on. Again, we'll keep it amongst ourselves.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, there were things that were teased that relate that I want to make very real for you, which is, we are extremely committed to what we're, we may change the name of it, but the set of things we're calling Admin Copilot, right? So these are things like admin suggestions on all different parts of product rollouts. Like, here are things you can do to optimize your instance, to automate more workflows, to unblock a pain point, to get more productivity, actually making suggestions to all admins within an instance around things that can be done. That also includes something that hasn't been teased, which is more of an AI analyst. So what I mean by that is you will get, what we're targeting is getting you a report, on, let's call it daily, weekly, monthly. We haven't finalized this yet, but of just a true analysis as we see it of things happening in your customer service operations. I think to seasoned admins, it might sound like, oh, I don't need that. I know everything, I'm good. But I really think this is going to surface things that you might be spending a lot of time trying to find, and it'll become sort of a coach or partner with you. Obviously, App Builder, teas that relate, but that will get a massive, massive, massive update soon. The ability to create a bunch of different types of apps, the ability to integrate with more systems with Action Builder. And then I will tell you, I don't know if there's going to be an announcement on this, but something we think about a lot internally, that we haven't talked about publicly, is agent-to-agent communication. So what does it mean for, you might have seen an announcement from Google, like Google Next last week, which was like, hey, we have this new framework. It's built on Claude's MCP pattern, and we're going to unlock this world of agents communicating with each other. Now, I think there was a little more marketing behind that press release than there was product and excitement. But I think it's going to be very important to understand, how does OpenAI or Gemini or Llama or any of these Uber AI agent, personal AI agents interact with customer service systems, and we want to power that interaction for the world. So a little bit there. I know I'm running out of time, but there's a couple other things I wanted to mention here. But let me think. If there's other things I can tease for you, let me know, or maybe I'll send you a note, Michael. But those are the things that I think we haven't fully announced and we haven't fully stepped into, that you'll see coming from Zendesk.
Well, that's really cool thinking, and I think this group really appreciates it. More importantly, how about a big round of applause virtually for John for joining us again for his third appearance here. A lot of cool information, a lot of great stuff we learned about here. I can't thank you enough for some really great content and conversation this morning for you. And yeah, I mean, I know I'm excited for the next 12 months of Zendesk, and can't wait to see all the rollouts and what the rest of the year looks like for you guys. I can't believe the amount of announcements that came out pre-relay. I can only imagine what it's like being in your world, trying to manage it all.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, the more activity, the more energy, the more happy I am. And so I'll take the workload if we're delivering great features to you all. Keep the feedback coming, by the way, Michael, and I look forward to joining this group again. Send me the questions from the chat. I'll be happy to address them for you. You can share with the group.
Great, and we look forward to having you back next year, all things considered, and everyone's still in the same place. And again, if you'll let me be Tom Egelmeyer for a minute, take the rest of the day off.
Done. I'm signing out right now. I appreciate that. I'll let Tom know. All right. Thanks, folks.
Take care. And thanks for joining the meetup. Be sure to sign up for next month. I'm excited for Action Builder. I hope you guys are too. Have a great day.